All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is October 30th, 2025. This one is called Devils in the Details, and that is always the truth. And we are going to be telling you all about that and the details and the little devils that are always in there, hiding all kinds of stuff to talk about tonight. Middle East, Europe's afire. There's a bunch of economic problems going on. There's political stuff going on. I mean, it's just everything. So, a lot of a lot of strange economic stuff. Things that are really kind of showing that we're in some problems. So, we shall see. Hopefully, I don't know. I want to break out of Maryland. I'm hoping this thing stays on through the spring and hopefully sell this sucker, but we'll see. At least we're not having showings or anything like that right now, so we'll find out when we find out. Other than that, we're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you're looking for a little bit of protection, maybe you'll take your retirement fund and use it for something that'll actually sustain its wealth, then check them out. They take your 401k or your IRA and turn it into gold and silver using your retirement plan. So some people are doing that, and it seems to be something that you should maybe think about. So link in the description if you'd like to check it out further. All right, let's get started on the Crisis Report. October 30th, 2025. Devil is in the details, my friends. Yes, it is. Oh, let me fix this sucker. Hold on. 3, 2, and 1. There we go. Here we go. Devil is in the details, folks. Well, I learned over the years of being a YouTuber, take a moment and do things right. Don't start clicking buttons until you know. There we go. All right. Let's get started. Whoosh. Some good grapefruit seltzer. Trump administration has limited number of refugees to 7,500, and they're mostly white South Africans. Oh my God, the horror. Brazil targets gang money in Sao Paulo after a deadly Rio raid. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan have unsealed charges on Thursday against 19 people who said they ran a year-round open-air drug market in Washington Square Park, distributing millions of doses of fentanyl, heroin, and crack cocaine. I know Washington Square Park. I used to live in New York City. It has always been a den of drug sales, specifically. So this doesn't surprise me. I actually read this. I was like, finally, they're actually doing something. 5.4 magnitude earthquake has hit Alaska. The FAA has issued a ground stop for Washington National Airport, citing air traffic controller staffing. There was also a ground stop at JFK. Vice President Vance says that the U.S. nuclear arsenal needs testing to ensure proper functioning. President Trump has returned to the United States following his historic trip to Asia. Prince Andrew will lose his title and move out of the Royal Lodge, a statement from Buckingham Palace has said. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Pakistan and Afghanistan are going to restart peace talks in Istanbul on November 6th, according to Turkey. New York City has been flooded. There's cars floating in floodwaters. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg reportedly held a secret meeting with Pam Bondi to seek her guidance on how to approach President Trump regarding the company's mounting legal issues. Fix your algorithm. How about that, Mark? How about you not pander some of the lowest level crap to our kids? Give me 5 minutes with Mark, and I'll lay it all out for him. He won't have to any questions afterwards. He'll know exactly what needs to be done. In fact, here, I'll make it simple. Close all of your stuff down and leave. Leave us all alone. Seriously. You know, there's issues I have with like different tech and all that. Mark takes the cake. Mark takes the cake. New study finds that children born to mothers infected with the Rona during pregnancy have an increased risk of autism as well as other neurological issues like delays in speech and motor development. National Guard deployment in Washington, D.C. has been extended into early next year. Derek Lopez, a 27-year-old teaching assistant from Illinois State University, has been fired for an outburst at Turning Point USA event and arrested for threatening to kill Trump. Samsung is going to officially display ads on their smart fridges with its new software update this week. I can't wait to go get some ice water out of the thing, and gives me a gambling site ad. That'll be wonderful. Ford is going to invest approximately $370 million in India to make new engines, reopening a factory that was shut down 4 years ago. Amazon and Google have deployed covert winking mechanism to notify Israel via coded money transfers when foreign authorities request Israeli data, even if the country issued a gag order preventing them from revealing that they provided such information. I'll have more on this. It's tough to explain, but it's weird. TNLA and Myanmar junta have officially signed a ceasefire mediated by China. TNLA will withdraw from Mogok and Momek, but gets to keep their remaining territories. Junta will stop the terror bombing of TNLA-held areas. Outrage has been noted by many inside the pro-democracy camp, as especially Mogok was mostly taken by the PDF's allies to the TNLA rather than the TNLA himself. So Myanmar, they've had a civil war going on for, I think, 2020. We don't cover it here because it's just like always going on in the background. It's like whatever. But I think China's like, oh, we need to do a ceasefire too, and kind of force these two to come to the table. So, U.S. Air Force Base, or U.S. Air Force One. President Trump tells reporters that a deal with People's Republic of China is coming soon. We have not too many major stumbling blocks. We have a deal now, and every year we'll negotiate that deal. But I think it will go on for a long time, long beyond the year. We'll negotiate at the end of the year, but all that rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world worldwide. Coherent. Ex-Mossad chief Yossi Cohen revealed that Israel used manipulated equipment, devices, both explode and secretly collect intel in covert operations worldwide, including during the Second Lebanon War. He refused to specify any country, saying only in every country you can think of. Latest as of October 29th, this Gaza ceasefire cracked overnight after Hamas fighters killed an Israeli soldier, prompting heavy IDF airstrikes that left over 100 dead, including women and children. By morning, Israel said the truce was back on, but trust definitely isn't. Both sides blame each other for breaking the deal, and civilians are again paying the price. It's pretty tough. French President Emmanuel Macron's approval rating has sunk to 11%. That's the lowest by any sitting French president in 50 years. Le Figaro is the one that does it. It's been going on since the 70s, and it's like nobody had it worse. Gazans report 10 airstrikes last night by fighter jets in eastern Khan Yunis. Within the boundaries of the Yellow Zone, it was also reported during the night and morning about controlled demolitions of buildings in eastern Gaza City. U.S. official told Axios that despite Israel's position, the U.S. wants Turkey involved in the Gaza force. Turks were very helpful in getting the Gaza deal, and Netanyahu's bashing of Turkey has been very counterproductive. Indian citizen. This is a long one. I want to read this. I'm not going to go all the way through it. This is the whole story's here on Substack. I put it onto my Subscribe Star on Locals. I don't even know where to put this thing. This is just. I think we're at peak banking. I'll just leave it at that. I think we've just gotten to a place with banks and everything where it's just stupid now. And this shows why. Indian citizen Bankim Brahmbhatt scammed BlackRock and BNP Paribas out of $552.6 million to fund a fake private equity fund. It's called Careox Capital. So the entire deal was built on one claim. He had legitimate receivables from T-Mobile, Telstra, BICS, Telecom Italia, Sparkle, and Taiwan Mobile. Excuse me. None was real. Fake invoices, spoofed email addresses mimicking these carriers' real domains, and sent fake verification emails to make the receivables look legitimate. Stacking these fabricated invoices on top of each other, he created what looked like $500 million in collateral the lenders saw as assets, and then funded the deal without catching any of it. HPS and BNP Paribas finally tried to verify these receivables by actually calling T-Mobile. The carrier said they had no idea what Careox was talking about. No contracts, no invoices, nothing existed. One phone call would have instantly revealed the entire fraud. These are supposed to be institutional-grade lenders with world-class risk management, yet somehow they missed basic due diligence. They didn't even make phone calls. So it goes on from there, explains when the payments are coming through and how it all goes around. Lenders are suing people, blah, blah, blah. But here's the kicker. BlackRock acquired HPS for $12 billion in July 2025 to expand into private credit and get access to its $148 billion platform. Within 90 days of closing that deal, they're holding a $500 million fraud loss on receivables that HPS supposedly vetted and monitored. That's not just a bad deal. That's a massive question mark about whether one of the world's largest asset managers, as in like the largest, actually has the infrastructure to verify complex collateral in modern lending markets. If this is BlackRock, folks. If they're $12 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion dollar asset management machine can miss a $500 million in forged documents and fake invoices, what else are they missing? Systemic risk is what they end. But just think about that. I know it's wonky. I know it's nerdy. I know it's banking. I know it's not sexy like starvation or people threatening people's lives over a freaking bag of Doritos that the government is going to pay for tomorrow. But like seriously, that's a really big story. And I don't know anybody else who's covering it. Just saying. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced U.S. Southcom. Like back to it. I have to. Like that's the kind of stuff that leads to the kind of things, the dominoes that happened with like the Great Depression. Like if we know anything that was going on, Great Depression started in Europe. It was at Kreditenstalt. And they like go down and then everything goes with it. Man, if BlackRock is having problems with that, they really are flying blind. They don't know stuff. They don't know $500 million is a lot of money. It's not to them, but in the grand scheme of things, it could do some damage. Just nuts. All right, Hegseth announced U.S. Southcom conducted strikes against a narco-terrorist organization vessel in the Eastern Pacific, eliminating 4 sicarios at once. Earlier today, direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out a lethal kinetic strike on yet another narco-trafficking vessel. This is operated by a designated terrorist organization, or DTO, in the Eastern Pacific. Vessel, like all the others, known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit narcotic smuggling, was transiting along a known narco-trafficking route, carrying narcotics. 4 male narco-terrorists all aboard and killed during the strike, which was conducted in international waters. No U.S. forces were harmed in the strike. Western Hemisphere is no longer a safe haven for narco-terrorists bringing drugs to our shores to poison Americans. The Department of War will continue to hunt them down and eliminate them wherever they operate. Gaza front line. Hamas ceasefire betrayals. Here they are in logged form. Blue zones locked down 53% of Gaza from Rafah's borders. Shajaya's edges. Yellow lines fortifying positions against terror incursions and enabling relentless ops to dismantle remaining threats. Got the full breakdown right there. There you go. Hamas violations unleashed. October 13th, sells yellow line under bogus hostage search pretext, unearthing massive weapons cache. 19th and 20th, anti-tank missiles, heavy fire ambush, IDF troops, Rafah claiming 2 Israeli soldiers. Arms of militants on October 20th breached the yellow lines near Shajaya, repelled by decisive IDF fire to protect their forces. Machine gun barrage on the 28th, 2 days ago, IDF bulldozers in demolition ops, killing a reserve sergeant in cold blood. And also on that day, Hamas returns mismatched hostage remains, body fragments already recovered by IDF, not from the agreed 13 captives list, mocking the deal. This thing's going to get back going again. Iran accelerates efforts to restore its nuclear facilities, according to a new report. Main focus of activity is now at the Hammer Mountain site, located about 1 kilometer south of the Natanz enrichment complex. Massive underground facility has been under construction deep inside the mountain since 2020. Updated satellite images show that since the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes in June, Iran has significantly accelerated work at the site. Between June and September, a new security wall was completed around the area, and researchers identified at least 5 underground entrances, 2 on the eastern side, 2 on the western side, and 1 on the southern side. Some of the tunnels appear to be active, while others are covered with soil and gravel, suggesting an effort to conceal ongoing operations. According to the report's assessment, the facility in Hammer Mountain may serve one of 3 purposes. 1, establishing a new centrifuge production plant to replace the one damaged in Natanz. 2, transferring nuclear metalwork operations from Isfahan, which was damaged in the strikes from June. And then, of course, building a new secret uranium enrichment facility for higher grade enrichment. Report notes that although satellite images do not allow for a definitive determination of the site's purpose, the rapid acceleration of the underground construction so close to Natanz, combined with Iran's refusal to grant access to International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors, indicates an attempt to quietly renew its nuclear capabilities. So, that's not done either. The Middle East is on pause, folks. It's halftime. This is not the end. The Houthis will pay a heavy price for their attempts to harm the Israeli home front over the past 2 years. We have not said the last word. That's Defense Minister Katz. German car giants are continuing to report a drastic drop in their profits. Mercedes-Benz profits have dropped by about 50% to 3.87 billion euros in the first 9 months of 2025. American home price to income ratio, this is critical, reached a record 4.4x, surpassing even the 2006 bubble peak of 4.1x. This is how the highest ratio ever recorded. And what happened in 2006? Yeah, it gave way to 2007 and 8, where the bubble happened and burst. U.S. will not be reducing its military presence in Poland, as told by the Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kozyniak-Kamysz, who received assurances from the War Secretary Pete Hegseth. Rumors of a bigger American troop withdrawal from Europe were spreading onto social media yesterday after the U.S. and Romanian officials announced that the U.S. would have its garrison in Romania. Ratio of the equal weighted S&P 500 to the S&P 500 index has dropped to 1.11. That's the lowest since May of 2003. Now sits well below the 2008 financial crisis low of 1.18. Decline is accelerated as the equal weighted S&P 500 has underperformed the cap weighted index for 5 consecutive trading sessions. Ratio has been falling rapidly since the 2022 bear market bottomed, with this ratio at 1.5. Similar underperformance was seen during the late 1990s. Large cap tech is everything. China's rare earth exports to the United States have collapsed. Just 5,552 metric tons so far this year, down 26% from last year's 7,446. That's the lowest in 5 years. Beijing's using rare earths as leverage, and they know exactly what they're doing. China controls 92% of the global refining and 98% of the magnet production. Analysts say it would take the West 10 years to even challenge that dominance. Deng Xiaoping saw it coming in 1992 when he said, "The Middle East has its oil, China has rare earths." He wasn't joking. China mines most of it, processes most of it, and makes nearly all the magnets that power jets, missiles, and smartphones. The results of the U.S.-China negotiations. United States canceled 10% fentanyl tariff. China will adjust countermeasures, likely meant U.S. Agricultural product tariff. U.S. suspended the BIS 50% rule for 1 year. It's Bank of International Settlements. China suspended rare earth export control for 1 year. U.S. suspended 301 investigation on maritime logistics port fee for 1 year, and China suspended countermeasures, the port fee for 1 year. So, getting back to baseline. China and U.S. suspend tit-for-tat port fees by 1 year. U.S. and China have agreed to suspend the tit-for-tat shipping levies on vessels linked to the other for 1 year, according to Beijing, de-escalating a dispute that has become a sticking point in their wider trade war. Given that there are very few U.S.-built owned ships going to People's Republic of China ports anyway, and that the whole point of the USTR investigation was to counter PRC shipping dominance, this is hardly a tit-for-tat U.S. concession. It's de facto unilateral and an acceptance of that dominance. And I heard a lot of people are talking about this one. And this is why you come and you have the crisis report delivered to you in your email by signing up. The link is here. Okay? Link's here. Go get it. Trump officials are moving to military bases due to, quote, safety threats, according to the Atlantic. Now, first and foremost, it's the friggin' Atlantic. Okay? The Atlantic is not exactly, I don't want to say they're not trustworthy, but if it's anti-Trump, they'll embellish it. Former White House advisor Katie Miller, mother of 3 young children and wife of the presidential right-hand man Stephen, walked out of her front door on Thursday morning last month and was confronted by a woman she did not know. When she told the story on Fox News, she described the encounter as a protest that crossed a line. Stranger had told Miller, "I'm watching you," she said. This was the day after Charlie Kirk's hit. It also wasn't anything new. For weeks before Kirk's death, activists had been protesting the miller's presence in North Arlington. Someone had put up wanted posters in their neighborhood with their home address denouncing Stephen as a Nazi who had committed crimes against humanity. A group called Arlington Neighbors United for Humanity warned in the Instagram post, "Your efforts to dismantle our democracy and destroy our social safety net will not be tolerated here." Dismantle your social safety net? Have you been down to downtown DC lately, bro? Seriously. Go over by the freaking baseball stadium and hang out, man. See how long you last. If you're not mugged or thugged or worse within the first half hour, I'll give you free tickets to the Nationals the next game. Local protests became a backdrop to the Trump administration's response to Kirk's killing, when Miller, the architect of that response, was known for his inflammatory political rhetoric. So there you have it. Thoughts on the officials going to military bases? Could be a cover. Or it could just be the people on the left are really violent. I don't know. So you tell me, what do you think's going on with that one? So I'll let you guys figure it out. But other than that, we're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. So if you're, looking to change your 401k IRA and all that, go do it by going into the link and following it to where it goes, and it's all waiting for you. So, and you don't got to do it. You just, they'll tell you what's going on, and you say yay or nay. Let's see. At Mods, do I join Substack? Things to add to the personal info I have. Just witnessing lots of military aircraft out there in East Mountains, not on flight radar view of the local city here in New Mexico, I'd imagine. Wish for War, it's got all the links and everything. It's free. Worst thing you do is you look at it and then you're like, okay, and delete it. Maybe you're not into it, and you put it aside, and it's just kind of there so people can follow it on their own. I always respected Marfugel News. They put all of their articles on their website. I always respected it, so I thought this would just be a way to do it. And fully understand, I plan on taking all these and turning it into a book. I still have that in the back of my mind. Turn it into something like what's his name? Studs Terkel. He did something similar. So good poets borrow, great poets steal. Scrappy Cat, you might be right. COG and safety. Who knows? All right. Hated links, but you're good. Well, all right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, the links are all, I get them from mainstream stuff. I don't go to too many crazy places, but a lot of them are Twitter and all that, so they're mainstream stuff. I don't want to send you into any kind of a problem on your computer. So it's a link. You do your due diligence. Other than that, folks, I think we're going to call it. I think that's all the intel we got for one evening. Appreciate you. Hit that like button, do the subscribe thing. I don't know what's going on PrepperNow or here, but we seem to have broken through with Borgarino, so I'm just going to stay quiet. It's kind of nice. Other than that, as some random dude says, any moment, friends, your poop pushed in. Never have your poop pushed in. Okay, friends, God bless. Check us out on Truth, Minds, Twitter, X, Subscribestar, Local, Substack, or you can become a member here, like Bad Bobber. Some of the others, Scrappy Cat. Thank you so much. That's your Crisis Report for October 30th, 2025. Friends, God bless. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you on the next one.